On the podcast today, we have Nick Marietta, known as being one of the hardest working people in all of Las Vegas. He has personally flipped thousands of houses as a contractor before he ever even was a flipper. Since then, he's flipped hundreds of houses and is known for his premier luxury flips. He's involved in multiple companies, including a construction company, his own glass company. He owns a plane, and he has his own social media company, just to name a few. This is going to be one episode of many, so I hope you enjoy this episode with Nick Marietta.
I don't even know how to turn the cameras on in the studio. Like, I don't do that crap. But I can tell you that glue line beam across there will kick your ass in a second if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yes.
So, you got to have your thing, right?
Yeah. You're good at construction.
You got to love this shit, don't you?
I fucking love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So you flipped over 1,000 homes, have a massive social media presence. You own a bunch of planes, but you started in contracting. Mm-hmm. Tell us how you got started in real estate.
Well, I mean, come on, when you're a contractor, everything you do is revolved around real estate, right?
Yeah.
So you have to think that every contractor is usually broke. They don't have an education, or they went and they got a construction management education, and there's just not a lot there, right? The substance for me is I grew up broke. My parents didn't have a lot of money. Contracting was an easy way to make a living, right? So for many years, ever since I was a kid, I started mowing lawns. And then, if I could make money, contractors always can get cash flow because something always needs to be fixed. The regulations in most states aren't a lot. It's an easy way to just, go and say, I do this, whatever, right? So as a kid, I started mowing lawns. Next thing I know, I started fixing stuff. Then all of a sudden, it turned into my first rental property in 2003. I bought for $18,000. And you got to just look at it that one thing led to another. But what really got me into real estate is when the economy changed in 2006, when I was framing big houses down in Scottsdale, Arizona, 8, 10, 15, 20,000 square foot houses, my big framing crew. And when that disappeared, I had to go into a remodeling company. And when the remodeling company went into, basically they're not building homes anymore, I got to start fixing them. All of a sudden I'm like, what's an REO, right?
Yeah.
And then as that progressed, there's no more new construction barely going, and I had to get into remodel, where remodel led me to, obviously investors, because a remodeling company, when the economy went down in 2009, 10, 11, everybody's buying houses, they need a remodeler. So it just started where, one lead ran to another lead. But my main lead was when I put an ad on Craigslist in Las Vegas, and, Phil and Tom Boakley, which is the Boakley brothers, his dad, called me to set a toilet. It was I had two men. I was so broke, 2 men for $25 an hour total, not just one, but both of us for $25 an hour with a truck and trailer. Because I knew if I could sell myself for $25 an hour, I would get the phone call. I knew the lead would run into something new. And when I got a phone call when they had a house they're flipping and somebody screwed them over, they needed a toilet set, that's where I got my start. They were flipping houses, and I'm like, you're an investor? Yeah. They were flipping, 5, 6, 7, 8 houses at a time, and I started doing handyman work for them. Well, once I hung around long enough, I'm a businessman, right? I'm like, okay, these guys are doing this. How do I do it, right? That led me into real estate investing at the level that I'm at now. Because when I set that first toilet with the remodeling company, it just escalated from there.
So with the contracting, how did you end up taking on more jobs with them?
It was very simple. It was me in a truck, right? Mm-hmm. And, the typical contractor's like, yeah, I can do that. What do? You take the down payment. You figure it out later, right? You fake it till you make it, right? Yeah. So I would take it, and I would have to work 80, 90, 100 hours. And I would be like, I would go down to Home Depot and be like, hey, you're a painter. Do you want to paint for me? And I would go Sherwin-Williams. I would go, to the drywall supply house and find a drywaller. And I was resourceful on if I knew if I could sell a job that I might get burnt and I might not be able to make it through that job, and I'd end up having to do it myself. Since the fact that I could do the remodeling, do it all myself, I never oversold what I could do myself. Mm-hmm. But what I did is I sold as I brought on new people. They were needing work. Most contractors and employees people don't know how to market and sell. I was an expert marketer. So I knew if I could, in the down economy, sell a job and still be able to back it up myself, I wouldn't ruin my integrity, my reputation, everything else. I went outside the box and I started building, a brand. And then I started building, resources and people. And all of a sudden, you know, I did it again and I did it again, just like when you're flipping houses. And next thing you know, guess what? You got 5, 10, 15, 20 people. And, you know, when the economy was down, when I really got started, a lot of people were just hurting and they just wanted to work. $15, $20 an hour was a lot of money then. So the fact that I had to work and I was ahead of them and I paid everybody my piece rate and I was organized and I was a businessman versus just an unorganized contractor, I got the help. Well, that just escalated like any business, right? Just like if you're doing wholesaling and you can teach someone how to cold call and how to do deals, right? Before you know it, you got 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, and you're building this business. Well, that just led into an escalation of a contracting business. Well, all of a sudden I had 20 guys sitting there because I took the business side to it, not the contracting side to it. I'm not even really that good with trades, right? With my own hands, I can do it. But being a businessman and knowing how to organize, help these people and feed their families is what made me successful to get me to the real estate deals and the cash flow.
Yeah. And then that's how I first heard about you. So like why I'm asking that question, I started flipping in 2017. I only bought 1 flip then, and I bought 8 flips in 2018. In 2018 is when I started running into contractor issues to where I need to find some more contractors to help me do this thing. And everybody said, you call Nick Marietta, he'll do the whole entire flip for you. And you're like, listen, I don't have time to go over there. Send me the pictures. I'll send you the quote. I'll send you how much it costs.
Yeah.
But that's someone who's no bullshit.
Yep.
You could take on 15 flips at a time. And that's what we knew you as.
Yep.
There were so many flippers out there who grew their businesses off of you. Because if they hire you, they don't have to hire a project manager. You know, even if you might cost 20% more or 30% more, there's the certainty that this whole entire project will be done in 10, 14 days. When my contracting is like 45 days to get a house done. You do it super fast. You're the greatest asset to the flippers. How did you get that good at remodeling the houses? Because I know that's how you end up saying, why am I doing this for other people? I should do it for myself. But how did you get so good at remodeling so many houses so quickly?
That's a great question. And I'm glad that you're asking that because I want to try to help everybody throughout this podcast and really leave some value. And it doesn't matter if it's contracting. It doesn't matter if it's flipping. It doesn't matter if you want to be a better family man, a dad. Doesn't matter if you want to be better at anything you do, serving people. But it's all consistency, discipline, and repeating it, right? And when you repeat something over and over and over, and you don't allow the same thing to happen, and you change it every single time, and you're willing to stop and put in the time, you can win. I figured it out the other day in the contracting and the real estate business that I've got about 94,000 hours of actual work. Because if I've worked 3,500 to 4,000 hours, okay, for 23 years in this business, you do the numbers, okay? So the fact that I've been so disciplined, I've gave up family life, I've gave up my personal life, I've gave up many opportunities and many memories to get where I'm at. And I'm not saying that's the thing to do. I didn't know any different, right? But how I won was by not doing the same thing over and over. If there's a problem, I identify the problem. I don't let it persist and I don't let it go on and on and on. And, people just don't quite understand that it's okay I'm a very confrontational person, meaning not in a bad way, but if there's a problem, I'm going to confront you on it. There's no bullshit. If you really want to win, you ask the question. People get offended when you ask the question because they're doing something wrong. If you ask somebody a question and they don't like the damn question, they're doing something or have something on you that they don't want you to know. And the fact that they don't want you to know that, that's where there's actual problems. So the fact that I'm willing to confront any situation and ask any question to get the information, which I always say is if you don't get the information on something, how are you going to know? How are you going to excel? And really, do you really know what you're talking about? The answer is no. But when you get the damn information, you can win every single time at the smallest thing. And remember, the smallest things are what add up to big things. So all those small things and all those hours and all of the questions I asked and the discipline that I had puts me here today. Today I sit here and we've actually flipped about 2,000 homes. We've wholesaled over 1,000, way over 1,000 homes. We still hold $40 million worth of real estate today. I'm at 7,250 remodels or more today. The remodels I'm doing today are at least $250,000 or more. I have my general contracting business, my mechanical business, my glass business, my Euro custom cabinetry business just in the construction industry. Plus, I just started a kitchen and countertop business that's strictly just kitchen and countertops. I'm streamlining everything. We do full development. We do full new builds. We have about 34 projects going right now. We have $29 million worth of construction on the books for the next 18 months. And the funny thing is today I actually have about 27 construction employees, and in the height at 120. I've learned how to leverage my resources, leverage talent, bring in the right management, plug it in play, keep my top line so strong, along with that management so low that I can make a margin like you've never seen before. I can sign a job at double the profit margin of somebody else, and they don't even understand what's going on. And it becomes from reputation, from marketing, and all these different things. And when someone wants to pay for something in today's times, they're willing to pay for that. And here's the problem is in today's world, everybody's got an iPhone. They want to point a finger. There's been so much money circulating in this economy that they don't even understand it, okay? And there's so much readily available. And even with the economy where it's at and how fragile it is, we're on the tip of a meltdown, or we're on a tip of a huge growth spurt again, and nobody really knows. But with that being said, I've become more valuable than I've ever been in my life in what I know and the time I put in, because I know how to look at a situation. I know how to talk to somebody. I know how to find the right person. I know how to word it. And 99% of what I do today is psychology. And literally, I can find the right person, and I can find someone still in this economy for $18 to $22 an hour that maybe wants 35. But the difference is the $35 doesn't an hour in the construction industry doesn't make their difference. The difference is how they're treated, how I set it up for them, and how their lifestyle is. It's like this in the luxury game. Everybody pays for a luxury lifestyle, right? They'll pay for that. Well, guess what? When you're earning money, you're willing to work for less to have a lifestyle to live in peace and ease. So if you're in this game and you really want to win at it, if you understand what's going on upstairs right here, psychologically, you can do something you've never seen. And I can put people in positions that may not be the highest paid, may not be exactly what their potential is and where they're at is, but I give them a lifestyle. And the lifestyle goes from my luxury brand that they're willing to pay because of how hard I've worked and what I hand off them, all the way to the guy that wants to come work for me. And at the end of the day, when you look at this entire thing and you want to win, it's all about looking at the other person and putting yourself in their shoes and understanding one thing. What do they need? Just like when you buy houses wholesale, just like when you want to sell, just like when you negotiate, just like when you're talking to the contractor, just like when you're hiring people, right? Mm-hmm. And the emphasis is the entire thing isn't real estate. It isn't construction. It isn't anything. But nobody ever talks like this. Nobody really ever looks at it and just says, if I was in their shoes, how could I change their life? And if I'm smart enough and experienced enough and I've been mentored enough and understand how to do that, the difference is I can get anything I want done at any time for a fair price. And I'm not going to pay more than the going rate, but I'm going to change their life. I'm going to make their life easy. And guess what? It makes mine easy. And if I can do that simple thing, guess what happens? I win inevitably. But more importantly, I wake up every single day in service to them and in service to me. And it's a beautiful thing. And guess what? It's called the flow state. When you're in the flow state, what happens?
It's all easy.
Exactly.
You're in the zone.
So sorry for that really long explanation on my entire business, my philosophy, and how I actually look at things. And I've changed this in the last 6 months, and my trajectory has changed 10x of anything I've ever seen, looking at every single situation that way.
So you rattled off a lot of businesses that you own and that you manage, but I mean, that takes a lot of work. I'm sure you can't do it alone. How do you find the right people to manage all those cabinet shops? And, you're owning a company for each and every step of the way. Why did you build it yourself? And are you putting a different person to run the whole entire thing, or are you overseeing everything?
So I don't oversee anything. I'm in everything. I actually don't oversee any particular thing in any of my companies anymore. When I was in my accident in 2021, I was everything. I was the guy. I was the CEO. I was doing everything. And once I lost almost everything I own and had to rebuild, I lost like $4 million because I couldn't work and I was, had back injury. I just went through back surgery. I had a freaking, let me put it this way. I'm not going to talk about my head injury because it's something I don't want to disclose in public place, but my head injury was really bad. But when you can't think up here and you can't do anything, it hurt a lot of my customers, hurt a lot of people. Concussions are hard on you. Yeah. And when I look at everything today, I do that same thing. Who do I need? I have a cabinet shop. Okay. What are the parts of the cabinet shop? Well, let's see. I need someone to draw. I need someone to be able to do financials and order materials. I need a CNC operator. I need a edge band operator, and I need a simple, assembler. So what do? I specialize in each one of those things. If I need a CNC operator, well, I'm going to Google, what does a CNC operator make? Where do I find him? How many of them are there? What is the average salary? How often do they move? How many cabinet shops are in town? What suppliers are shipping here? What do CNCs cost? How many CNC operators are in town? Where am I going to get him? How do I write the ad? How can I afford to give this person something different than what they have somewhere else? Why would I attract him? Mm-hmm. So if I'm in need of something, all the way down that CNC operator, and I need him now, I spend 3 or 4 hours, I find out all the information, and I find out who's doing what. I don't go poach somebody. I don't steal somebody from somebody. I write my ad to hire that's going to attract him and do something different psychologically than he's got now to why he's going to want to come to me. And I just repeat the process over and over and over. People make things too complicated. They just won't get down and work with their hands. They think that there's this golden egg that's going to come make them rich and they're going to do X. And my secret sauce, period, is understanding the basics, the simplicity, and understanding what the person that I need wants that doesn't have. And I find out a way to give that over my competition, and I have them now.
So when you built that, I mean, you're hiring people. You need to make sure that you have enough work to hire all of them. So you're hiring all the people, and then you need to flood them with a lot of business. Now, you rehab a lot of properties yourself, but are you also putting out marketing to get off the street customers or to get flippers or to have a more retail customer for that?
I'm very fortunate because after, 90 some thousand hours, and I don't know, 700,000, followers and 1 million to 2 million views a week or whatever it is. I don't know, whatever the silly numbers are. Right.
Yeah.
I basically can put something out and I just get flooded. Right. But that's called discipline. That's putting in the work. And that's like being established where you're at. So with that being said, if I was a new person, which I am in the cabinet industry, what do? The first thing is I find my basis line. Do I want to be an RTA company and compete against White Shaker from China? Do I want to be my own cabinet shop, and do I want to grow and do I want to work for other people? What cabinet shops are there? I'm just using this for an example because people can relate to it, right? Yeah. And then I look at it as if I work for a flipper, he's going to be the cheapest guy, but he's going to give me the most amount of work. After 20 years in business, do I want to sell to the cheapest guy in town or do I want to sell the most expensive? Well, with the experience I have, I'm going to sell the most expensive. I'll still sell the cheapest, but you know what? I make my money on manufacturing $150 a sheet. Typical shops, $50, but they don't draw, they don't order, they don't assemble, and they don't ship. So I looked at, once again, I go to my competition and I look at everything. I'm going to the top because the key is getting all the information and putting in the discipline and that work. I can be at the top and get the most amount of money for anything I want to do, and my life's easier because the least amount of work I do for the most amount of money makes my life easier. And guess what? I can hire the best talent and I can outwin anything because the better the talent you got, the better you pay them. Guess what? When you say, how do you manage people and what do? You don't have to manage people with experience. If they're making more money than somewhere else and they're happy, they're like family and they're going to take care of you, and you have to do way less work.
Yeah. And I heard you mention that on your social media that you owned a cabinet company, and I was a little confused as to, did you buy a cabinet company so that you can get cheaper costs on cabinets, or did you buy a cabinet company to grow and scale the cabinet company to take on California cabinets and, Cabinet Sound Plus and all that?
That's a great question. And what it comes down to is I'm flipping homes. I'm in luxury homes, and I'm like, I can't put white shaker cabinets in my $5 million home.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And I go to a local cabinet company. It's like $120,000. I still wouldn't charge that. They're like raping people.
Yeah.
Like I still make a great living, right? And there's something about gouging people, and there's something about like winning, right? There's that level of where you start and stop. And I'm just one of those people. I'm simple, and I just don't believe in that. I believe in getting good money, but I don't believe in taking advantage of people. A fair product for a fair day's wage is definitely worth it, right?
Yeah.
And when I couldn't get the cabinets, and I ordered them as actually for the 35 Princeville, and it's like, oh, that'll be there in a month. I found a place out of Texas. Okay, that's a month and a half. Then the parts are wrong, and then they're damaged, and then I went through it all. I said, this is it. I looked at these boxes, and I broke it down again. Oh my gosh, they got aluminum drawers. Oh, this is hard to get. Aluminum drawers, Euro cabinets. Where can I get the parts? Oh, wow, it's got a piece of simple MDF on the front that's laminated. That's hard to make. Like, let's see, let's figure out a supplier that has laminated MDF. How hard is this to cut? Oh, wow, how does this go together? Oh, they take an iron and glue, and wow, they cut the edge and they edge band it, and then they file it. I'm like, wow, that's my drawer front. I'm like, this is getting harder.
Yeah.
And then I look at the inside, I'm like, wow, this is plywood. I can go to Home Depot and get this. And I just broke it down. I'm like, okay, that's enough. And I was flipping actually 9155 Tamaris, which is close to where we're at today. And I had a shop in the back. I'm like, I got 2,400 square foot of extra shop. And at the time my installer was doing my RTA cabinets, like, hey, if I buy a table saw and an edge bander, you want to start a cabinet shop with him? I'm like, yeah. So I bought a $14,000 table saw, and then I bought this edge bander. It was like worth 140. I bought it at auction for 40 grand. It was like brand new. All of a sudden I'm building cabinets, and I'm like, and I had like 20 luxuries going at the time. I had enough to keep 3 or 4 guys busy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I have a cabinet, and now I have a brand, and now I have something nobody else has. And that's where it all started.
I love that mindset. That's a common sense that common sense should be common, but very few people have it. And Elon Musk in his biography, how he built SpaceX and how he made, aerospace flight like a tenth as cheap as what NASA was doing and all that, is he'd take a look at the parts and they'd be charging, let's say $20,000 for the part, but he'd say, what is that part really? It's this piece of metal, which costs this much. It's this chip, which costs this much. This part should only be $120 and they're charging $12,000 for this part. He had to get the cost of every Tesla down to make a profit off it.
And everybody still looked at him like, that's never going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
And now look at it.
Yeah. Multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
But you're basically taking down, or you're looking at the base cost of it to where when I first started flipping, I got the quote for how much cabinets are. I'm like, this is 4 pieces of fucking wood. Why am I paying $150 per cabinet when it's 4 pieces of wood? Yep. So you did the same thing. I want to build a cabinet shop because I think it's bullshit.
Yep. It is bullshit. And that's the thing. Now, when you say that, now that I've got so far into it, it's not bullshit anymore because like we had a G code that was wrong on a design. And I screwed up 3 kitchens. It was $45,000 because when you cut a sheet in half, when the bit goes through it on CNC, it's like, well, there's an 1/8 inch. I got done in my reveal. I'm like, oh my God, I got a 1/4 inch gap, right? And it was one setting on the drafting that we screwed up, and it was like $45,000 later. So just because I do it doesn't mean that it's that easy, right?
Yeah.
It has its downfalls and anything, but the difference is I picked myself back up. I ate the wound. I'm like, well, I'm gonna stroke that check. Off we go again, And it's like, the cool thing is I still sell cabinets. Like I'm selling to Boakley's, and I just met Ryan Auburn. Them like I still take care of my boys. Like I still make my money on the retail stuff, but I'm never too good to take care of them. And I want to help them. They're like coming to me now. Like we got to have these different cabinets, and the biggest thing is we plan on franchising this thing across the United States. And we're going to be the 5 days you get cabinets. Everybody's sick of white shaker. And I'm going to be the RTA guy in 5 days. You win one of the ways, right? You're either price, speed, or quality. Well, speed will pay the price, and I'm still going to have the quality, and then the price, so the speed will win, the quality will be there, and the price is last. Because if you're a flipper and you want cabinets now, if I can have them to you in 5 days, this question, if you could have white shaker cabinets, and you could have them for $5,000 more in a house than you have now, and you're flipping it, and you got a $25,000 margin, you might be able to get 35 or 40, you have something different. Would you pay the $5,000 and you have them 5 days?
Yeah.
Like now. So you got to look at those 3 things on how you win. And those things just escalate to any business, whether it's real estate, whether you're going to get a wholesale deal, how fast are you going to get it? You got to look at all those things in anything you do, you know?
And one of the other things that you've been known for too is that you're reliable and you can actually perform on it.
Too.
Yeah. And then I couldn't find any contractors. I'm like, I need to call Nick Marietta and then hopefully he can just take care of these projects for me. Because no matter what, even if I'm paying 20 or 30% more, you're going to get it done in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And I can rely on you for it. And I know that you're going to do quality work.
Yeah. You know, it's so sad that like the contracting business has actually cost me from being a billionaire. It's a sad thing. And I want to share that with you because in 2012, when the hedge funds come to me, I did like, I don't know, 5,000 some remodels for them, a couple thousand for other investors, right, over my career. And think if I would have raised the money, had the contracting business and done it all, but the contracting business takes such immense amount of time and focus to actually be good at it. And the reason why I was so good at it is because I focused on it. It's like anything. The minute I take my hands off it, it dissipates, like, and it has problems. But now that I've learned over all the years, it's finally at a point after 20 years where I can actually have it, and it's not having those problems anymore. And one of my biggest bit of advice for contractors and where you're at is buy luxury real estate. Don't buy the low end stuff, because the difference is it's like anything. The higher you go, there's more for everybody, right? The lower you go, there's less for everybody. And if you understand what I'm saying is if you have a lower margin, you're going to get lower skilled people. If you have a higher margin, you're going to get higher skilled people. So that when I do a luxury property, if there's $1 million on play, and I'm doing some remodels now for a few people that are in the luxury market flipping, and they're flipping $3 to $5 million homes, their holding costs are $1,000 a day. So if they're paying $1,000 a day, it's $30,000 a month. If I have a lower end home, let's just do the numbers real quick. It's been so long, I'd have to actually think what it would cost me a day. So if I had a $300,000 house at 10% interest, it's $30,000 a year. It's costing me about $95 a day to hold it, maybe $100 a day.
That's right.
When it's costing you $95 or $100 a day to hold a property versus $1,000, let me ask this question: you're still a contractor.
Yeah.
What is your value now? 10x, right? So if your value is 10x, the better you are, the faster you are, and the bigger the margin, if you want to be a contractor or a flipper, guess what happens? The money's there. So if you're a luxury flipper, okay, and you don't have a good contractor, you're not gonna make it because you can't afford the interest. You'll never get there. But if you're a luxury contractor for a luxury flipper, you can name your price, because if the flipper's making $1 million, and let's say we buy for $2 million, it's a $1 million construction contract, and you're selling for $4.5 million. Even after the interest of a couple $100,000 and closing costs and points at $500,000, the flipper's still making $1 million, right? I think that math's pretty close. And if there's $1 million on stake, if you're 1.1 for contracting or 1.2, and he's got $300,000 at stake, he's making 300% on his money, right? With that kind of margin. Do you think he or them are really going to care to pay you $100,000 more to be able to get that job done for them so they can move to the next when they're stroking $30,000 a month? And the answer is no. So I've learned something. I've cornered myself in the market. It's dangerous both ways. And the way that it's dangerous is if I don't perform at a high level, and there's a lot of responsibility on me as a contractor or as a luxury investor, right? It's dangerous both ways. This is where experience and the real people meet the pavement and the tires get burned, I say.
Yeah.
Because you're playing the big boy game, but it's actually easier. So if you're a contractor or a flipper and you're not doing luxury, I would tell you to go there now, because the level of people, your buyer, your contractor, and even what you're playing at, even your investor, if you want to get gap money, or the lender you play with, is a completely different level. There's so much experience there that it actually makes it easier. Imagine this. Imagine if you're doing this and you can hire a designer for $15,000. Have you ever been able to hire a designer for $15,000 on a $400,000 flip?
Never.
Couldn't even think about it. Well, they do all the work now. They do everything. They spec it all the contractor. How much easier does your life just get?
So much easier.
You know,
are they doing subcontracting for you too? Are they like walking the job and taking a look at it?
The designer,
like project manager, yeah.
Oh, so that's a great question, right? So if you look at it, let's just break something down. Mm-hmm. You're an investor. You're gonna buy a house for $2 million. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be your contractor. Let's say you put $1 million in that. You're in for $3 million. 10% down is $300,000 down, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're, let's say, $300,000 down, you come to me and you're burning $20,000 a month in interest, $30,000 a month in interest. You don't want to do anything. Your main focus is who is my client that's going to buy this? Is this project getting done? And is it meeting the expectation? Is it something different somebody else has, right? Mm-hmm. So every single resource that you need is now readily available in front of you. So since all those resources are available in front of you, what happens is if I'm your GC, I design it, I order all your material. I have about 35% subcontractors working on this job now versus my own people. Like, for example, you got full concrete crews, you got full framing companies, you got full roofing companies, you got full stucco companies, you got a real pool company, you got real drywall company, real electrical, plumbing, HVAC. You can't just bring in a handyman to move an outlet. So the whole game changes. So there's a lot of subcontractor work. Well, with subcontractor work, guess what happens? There's specialized trades and you get the manpower, right?
Yeah.
You get the manpower, it makes it easier. Manpower is everything, right? And then they're specialized, they're not a handyman. So guess what happens? It happens better and faster and actually cheaper when you're done. So on the subcontracting side, when you ask, am I subcontracting or do people subcontract that? About 35% of our luxuries is subcontracted versus employees in-house. Complete change. If I do a median house price, like for example, 4308 base leaf, I did it last fall or this spring. I don't remember when we did it. It was like the last median house price I did. It was the last one. And that was like a $60,000 rehab. The only thing that I subcontract on the entire thing was a new air conditioner.
Yeah.
So all my guys did everything. And
I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback because when I got into flipping, my uncle said, Jay, isn't that just all speculation? Isn't it all bullshit?
On what?
On flipping houses. So, okay. And then I rebutted him and I said, if you're buying at 80% of ARV minus repairs, then it's not speculation. If you buy at 80% of ARV minus repairs over time, you're going to win, right? Yep. But with luxury, so on the mid-level range, I know what my ARVs are to like within $5,000. I can say for sure, at least in Las Vegas, where every community is, everything is a cookie cutter home, you know what the ARV is going to be. But for luxury, you might look around that neighborhood, you'll see 1.5 million, 1.7 million, 1.2 million, 1.8. You'll list yours for $3 million. I mean, what gives you the confidence to buy these luxury homes, and how do you know you're going to get that?
Well, that's a great question. So it was all speculation in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. In the Las Vegas market, 85% of what I bought was speculation. We're in 2023. Okay. At this point, I've been in it long enough and I've made a mark. Now I own it. And now that I own it, here's the difference is I have projects.
What do you mean by you own it? Like you have your flips have a reputation, or the luxury market?
I own my own luxury market. I am my market. I am my own economy. I took the risk to build my own economy. There's somebody that's already built their own economy in anything in any industry if you're smart enough to know how to find it and look for it. The difference is what are they doing it? Once again, information, process. What are they doing? Where are they doing it? And how are they doing it? And understanding how to get to that. So it comes down to this. When I did my first job for Matt McGovern at Candlestick, and I watched actually Carl Bassett for Homevestors, and then Matt McGovern, I watched these guys make 2, 3, 4, 500,000. They were on pure speculation. Okay. There was a lot of speculation. I lost $15 million in this downturn, like literally lost $15 million in speculation.
Wow.
Okay. So since I lost $15 million in speculation, that was speculation. Okay. But the difference is I knew how to play the market on the upside. Like anything, I got caught in it, which is completely fine. Even though I got caught in it, the difference is now is everybody's like, oh my gosh, right? So since I lost $15 million in the downturn, my next upturn, even in a recession or wherever we're at, who knows where we're at? I'm not going to comment on what it is because no one knows.
Well, that was my next question. Where are we at?
Well, I could tell you what that would be. But when I look at it today and I laugh at this, I have the comps. I have the houses. I have the track record. I have the buyers. And I know what they're willing to pay. And I've done enough of it. And I've paid the price, especially with the $15 million downturn. It's game on for me now. So you should be watching where I'm buying, what I'm doing, and how it's going. Because I paid the price, and this is a golden nugget. Go follow me, compete with me, or come with me into these neighborhoods, and we own it.
Yeah.
So your pushback, your speculation comment was exactly right. It's spot on what was happening. There's nothing that was wrong with that. And you're completely spot on with that. But the difference is once you've done something long enough and you got it figured out, you can keep rolling, and that's where you're at. So
the difference in outlook is so different. So with me, it's all about how good of a deal I'm getting. I know where the ARV is and how much can I beat them up on that. And I've heard you on a podcast like, man, I pay full price for these luxury houses. I don't care to pay full price because I'm doing so much to it that I set my own price. And it's a whole different thought process.
Yeah. That was before I lost $15 million. And that's what built my brand. And that's what built my reputation. And that's what built me into the luxury game. And that was what it is. But you have to take risks and you have to move how you have to move to change your trajectory and be able to get where you want to go. You have to take big moves. You have to take big risks. And you have to be willing to also take the ramifications when things go south. And you got to deal with your investors. And you got to, I've had properties I've lost $400,000 on. And I got one right now we're getting ready to cash $2 million profit on.
Wow.
So like at the end of the day, I'm up about $4 million on the $60 million I did. It's not a great return. And there was a lot of losses. I mean, point blank, I'm transparent. You can say what they want. And you know, the funny thing is you don't hear everybody saying, I was talking to somebody and they said this so-and-so and this so-and-so and this so and this so-and-so. All of a sudden, like now it's starting to come out. Everybody's scared to say anything. I've been saying it. I've been losing money and it's at X. But here's the thing is you got to look at something, right? If I just sold a house 6 months ago, nothing's changed with my California Exodus buyer that came here and just paid $3.85 million for that. The difference is now is I come to find out I undersold that house. So I actually undersold my houses. And when I looked at it, if I'd have held on, I wouldn't have lost the $15 million. I thought the world was coming to an end. And once again, as an investor, we think the world's coming to an end in 2007. It's never going to happen again. And here I am. I undersold myself. I will never undersell myself again. I have a property right now that I can't sell for $1.8 million. I'm tearing it apart and I'm putting another $50,000. I'm raising it 2.1 and I'm going to get it and I'm going to turn it into a win. Right? So these comps and these people are there when they know they can get a deal, you can't get the money out of it. But if there's nothing on the market and you sold something prior, that buyer's still there with the cash because 80% of what I sell is all cash in my market now. So since the cash is there, it's like if you will build it, they will come. So if I've sold it as a cash sale, a comp, no, but it is. But if they're not financing them or very little of them, right? And the money's there, like I was talking about circulation earlier and the psychology of what it is, I have to project this. If I go do something today, if I go and buy another property, I love Spanish Trails. It's one of my communities. Me and Jason Abrams are tearing that neighborhood up. We got like 5 coming on. That's our neighborhood.
I should be buying one there in like 2 more weeks.
Good. Perfect. Come on in. I'll teach you all about it. Yeah. More the merrier. There's plenty of dinosaurs in there and there's plenty of buyers. We need you. And at the end of the day, what you got to look at something is if I go in there today, it's going to be 1 year from now before I sell that thing. So what's happening in the economy? What's in front of me? And what am I going to do about it? And I look at it and it's just buy deep and buy good bones is what I keep saying. And here's the thing is it's speculation. But I know one thing, is that buyer still going to come? And is there anybody remodeling one? And I go in, and here's the trick is, has there been any big boys sold in my neighborhood that I've already sold one that I know they'll come again in? If the answer is yes, you drive them and you find out if they're being renovated and if it's being done by a flipper. If not, you're good in my mind. And that's how I look at every single buy. And that's how I put security to what I'm doing because there's nothing going to change in the next year in my mind that's going to change that if I can sell it again for the same price or if not more.
When you say 1 year, is that your timeline to turn around these luxury properties or?
Yep. So we permit all of our luxuries now. So it's 3 months to draw plans, get permits, get demo done. And then it's 6 months to do the renovation and then 3 months to sell it. It's a 1 year project now. Anything that we do, I won't even touch. In fact, Jacob, my stepson, Jacob Anderson, he's my stepson. He's down writing offers, and him and Michael, they're doing all my acquisitions we have a new brand that we're actually franchising for wholesale. I'll let them reveal that. We just got it trademarked, and they bring me deals. I don't buy my own deals in my own wholesale company because I'm like, I need at least a $2.5 million deal. I won't buy anything underneath $2.5 million anymore. And I want to buy at 2.5, and I want to exit at 5+.
Are you still buying out in not Minnesota, Missouri?
Kansas City?
Yeah,
they're still buying there. I don't even look at them. We have like 8 or 10 going anytime there.
Yeah.
Yep. They're cash flow. They're fun, but I'll tell you, making $1 million a deal is a lot funner and it's a lot less work. I love making $1 million a swing.
Yeah, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, and it's actually easy. It's easy. And here's the thing: is if you're gonna go do, if you're gonna make $20,000 a flip and you got to do 50, beaten up and ... If I do one over the next year and I make $1 million, you just did 100x less work for acquisition, contracting, everything, and you're on cruise control. And it's understanding it. And here's the thing: is how many flips do you have going right now?
I have 8 active flips.
And how much cash do you have in those 8 right now out of your pocket? Between you and investors, not the hard money, but just if you're
between all my properties, there's about $2 million into it. But in those 8 flips, there's about 1.4, 1.5
cash.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could actually be doing 4 luxuries right now, making $4 million a year. With that amount of cash is all it takes. It does not take a lot of money to do luxury.
And I never had gap funding, but I just acquired 100%, 100% carve out with Kiavi.
Yep, there you go. So it's like I would take 25% of my Rolodex of what you're doing, and I would do one luxury at a time and gamble that. Because once you do it once, you're going to be like, why am I competing with all these other? There's no competition where I'm at.
How did you first get the finance? I'm sure that getting financing with your resume right now, with your history, people know you. They know that they respect you. They know you're going to perform. Mm-hmm. But when did you get your first financing? Your first hard money lender, I'd say.
You mean on the luxury or
on the luxury side? On
the luxury side, actually, in 2016, I got a local guy that had about $10 million, and he lent to me, and he started at 20% down, and then he went to 100% construction, 0 down, but I had to make monthly payments on the interest. Never late on it. Been through many cycles with him. Made him millions of dollars. Always kept his, money always working. He's 10-2 consistently, whatever I did. And the first luxury deal I did, I went to him and I said, we do. Yeah, I didn't have me put anything down. And I actually had him put $400,000 set aside. It was 35 Princeville. And then economy changed. It went up. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I need another $1 million for construction. He's like, well, I'm not going to do it. And that was the bridge of where he got uncomfortable doing the median house prices and the luxury. So then I went and I took my track record and went to a big company, and I could name that, but I can actually get you financing on that. And I had them, they come, they vetted me, they did my first deal, and I had enough equity in the deal that I actually got cash out refi and got the $1 million in construction I needed because of the equity standpoint that I bought at. And that was my first luxury loan. And that was in 2021. And then that just escalated into a $100 million line of credit.
In your real estate companies right now, how much money do you have tied into it?
My personal money?
Yeah.
Or how much money, period?
Of your personal money.
Personal money, about $4.5 million.
About 4.5?
Yep. But on that $4.5 million, with the losses we had, there's probably really $1 million liquid there because I've had to pay all the investors off on the $15 million. But I've got 3 properties left that's going to net me back that and some. I'll have about $8 million when I'm done.
Wow.
So you got to realize, like, I paid them, lost my money in my liquid, but I'm holding on to the back end of what's left to make them whole on those, because if you don't make your investors whole, you're not going to stay in this business. And even if you can't make an investor whole, make a deal with them. I had a few that we were short on cash, we couldn't even make whole, that I had to put on another one and whatever. And I had one that I was 5 months late on. Like we got tied up. We had millions of dollars, and I'm stroking $200,000 a month in interest, right? And I just made a deal. I'm like, fine, I'll pay your 18% default interest. I renegotiated it at 12%. It didn't cost me. It cost me like 20 grand. It's like hard money. And they're like, do you want to do another deal? Because hard money people, if you know the right one and you know the game, regardless of where it's at, they lend on asset. They don't really lend on credit. They check your credit to make sure you're not a scumbag, but they really lend on the asset, not on you, you know?
And your personal credit too. I mean, if you would have gave them the middle finger in some of these deals and not paid and try to find some way to skirt it, then I'm sure they wouldn't lend on you again. But I mean,
yeah, they will.
Yeah,
fuck yeah, they will. These sons of bitches. Sorry, pardon my French. These fuckers are sharks. Are you kidding me? They got millions of dollars laying around.
Wow.
You mean to tell me, like, hold on a second. You got a deal that you're going to put 10, 15, 20% down on. You're buying it 60 cents on the dollar. We're putting the construction money away. You're putting the payments escrowed away. And I have $2 billion, $3 billion under asset management right now. And I got $1 billion that I got to lend. And if I don't lend it, I don't make money. Hell yeah, they're going to do it. But it all comes down to calling their shots, not putting up their bullshit, not being scared of them. And all my hard money lenders, you know who I'm talking about. And I love you to death. And I never screw you over, but you got to work with us too. You're charging absorbent fees. You're not going to do that with Bank of America. You're not going to do that with Chase. You're not going to do that with Wells Fargo. Hell no, you're not. But when you're dealing with hard money lenders, they're sharks.
Yeah.
If they're a shark, be one back. Do you want my lending? Do you want all my students? I have 150 students now, if nobody knows or doesn't know. You know what? I get them all lending. Do you want to lend to all my students? You want to call? No. I built a brand. I built a reputation. I built a following. I've built everything that I have. And whether you like that or not, Mr. Lender, bottom line is, do you want the business? They're not going to run for me. But here's the deal. I'll tell you where you get in trouble. When you don't communicate. When you're not going to pay them. When you don't have an asset to back them up. When you lie to them. When you don't do what you say you're going to do. But when a deal goes south, or you're short on money, or something goes sideways, it's called being honest. It's called working with them. It's calling just letting them know what it is. They're not going to go anywhere. They want to keep you in business. There's so much money that needs to be circulated in this world that if they don't have you, they lose you. So that if you just do that with them, they will do that for you.
And just as an example of that, with Kiavi, I've heard of someone, I won't name his name, but he was negative on some of his loans and he walked away from about 7 or 8 with still owing them some money, but he just gave it back to the bank. But they still lent to him. But I have another friend who wholesaled himself a house, meaning he, under one of his entities, wholesaled it to him and he got a $30,000 profit off it. Kiavi found out about it. They cut all of his line of credit, never lent to him again, and put him in a negative situation. So they considered that as lying to them, as trying to commit fraud.
Well, I mean, if the rules are the rules, right?
Yeah.
Then you don't do it. Now, if you can do that and it's legal, it's not fraud. I'm not saying I don't know if it's fraud or not to them or whatever it is. But also you have your own right to sell yourself your own property. If I have company A that's buying this, I have a marketing fee. What about my $15,000 that it cost me to get that? What about my buyer that I got to pay? What about my account? What about my building? I don't have the right to make money and I can't sell it to here. Now, whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, and I don't really care because I don't know the situation.
It's a good argument, but they hated it. But there's got to be people, especially like, what's the thing that Jamil has? Keegley and then Home Investors.
We do it all the time. So here's the thing is, there's an illegal side to it. You have to look at the paperwork, right? But it's not illegal to sell your 189. It's an LLC. You have the right to make money, okay? And when you sell it, if it's in entity A going to entity B and you're doing a loan, it's going to be on the HUD. So as long as it's on the settlement statement, you're seeing what's happening, shame on them if they don't catch it. That's their problem. Yeah. But I have many lenders that I do that all the time with. They're like, yeah, I understand. Like, you got to do X and we put another LLC. So to me, there's more to the story. Something went wrong. It sounds like he had other problems or something. And there's more to the story.
That's what I might be getting partial information.
Hey, whatever it is, that could be right. That could be wrong. I'm not saying anything that what he did or what we're saying is right or wrong. All I know is we can't legally or educatedly talk about it because we don't know. But it happens. I've done it, whether it's right or wrong, but I always disclose it. long as I disclose it, if they allow me to do it and they do the thing and it's on there and they say it's fraud, I'd have a good argument saying, no, it's not, because of I disclosed to you and I told you what I was doing.
So with contracting, do you ever take on commercial, like maybe renovate someone's restaurant or business?
So something interesting happened in the last few months. So I had a blessing and I brought on a new partner and project manager that does actually does land development. So we're actually doing land development now, specializes in new construction, residential, commercial, and TI work. Mm-hmm. So we're actually doing commercial work now. We actually just started, we're taking on our first job with a gym here, and we're starting in about a few weeks. So we're actually doing commercial work now, too.
Nice. Especially if you're a luxury contractor or a luxury flipper, it should be so much easier for you to design some really dope shit for people. And then there's just so much more money in commercial.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any more money in any of it. Mm-hmm. There's just as much money in residential. It's all about your marketing and your sale. Like anything. If you can sell ice to an Eskimo, you can get more money than somebody else. But if you don't have any skills, you don't have any brand, you're not going to get anything, right? And if you're going to work at the bottom, you're going to get the bottom. If you work at the top, you're going to get the top, like I said earlier. So I would fairly say that no matter what you're doing, whether it's houses, it's cars, it's real estate, it's construction, it's all about the sell. It's all about what you know. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that you can do up here, I said with psychology, is winning and giving them what they want. Someone's willing to pay for the experience of what they're willing to pay, right?
Yeah.
So it's like anything. Someone's willing to pay it, they're willing to pay it. It's a matter if you know how to get there.
And one of the selfish questions I have is I figure that I can scale flipping to about maybe 50 homes a year before it starts to get hard. And after that is probably when I'm going to start switching over to doing new builds and new construction. Mm-hmm. And you do new builds and new construction. Mm-hmm. So have you thought about, like, tell me about that. Do you want to go more into that in the future? Because where I'm looking at it is you could scale. I can only scale flipping for so big. I could scale new construction to the point where I'm American West or KB Homes.
I think you can scale any of it. It comes down to understand the resources and having the right people. Yeah. And I know big companies that do, 100 million a year in remodeling. And I know big roofing companies. I know big builders, all these different things. I think that's a limitation in your mindset. I think that's a limitation of what you actually think you can do. Because if someone else can do it, you're capable of doing it. And when you tell me you can only scale to 50 flips a year, that's a mindset thing in your own thing that you're believing. Because, I did 197 flips in 2018. So if I did 197 flips in 2018, if I did it, you can do it. You're smarter than me. I'm a dummy.
You work way harder than me, though. I'm good at analyzing the deals.
There's a difference in how hard you want to work and how smart you are. Like, there's two different things going on there. So
yeah, you wake up early. You're so disciplined. You hustle so hard. I'll never be. I'm really great at analyzing deals and analyzing situations. That's my strength. Yeah. But being as disciplined as you are, holy shit, I don't think I could do that. So before it gets difficult, I could flip 50 houses a year and have it be easy. Yeah. Waking up at the crack of 9 a.m., even though earlier than that, but, not being super disciplined with it. But still, I think that doing new homes and new construction is just the way to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, let me ask you this. It all sounds good. Mm-hmm. When it all sounds good, what's the reality of it? What's the difference between new construction and flipping homes? You're telling me right now that new homes is the way to go. You're telling me that getting up early and being disciplined and working hard is something you'll never do. So you have a limited mindset.
Yeah.
You need to grow. And that's what I love about you is I beat people up. When I have experience, I'm 41 this year. Mm-hmm. And when I see somebody like you, just by changing your limiting beliefs, just changes your whole trajectory. And by changing your limiting beliefs and anybody else's, makes it easy. When I look at you, you don't have to get up early. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to work a lot of hours. You have to get the information. You have to be persistent, and you have to get the right people. And if you just do those things, all of it's possible without working. I know people that work 8 hours a week that build 200 homes a year, and they've been doing it 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, but I'm also the guy that I love working, and I like the hands-on. It's a game. Some people love going to coffee and going to the gym and hanging out and going to the Knights game and doing all these other things and, going to a pool party. I'm not so much that guy. So if I love working, I may be working because that's what I love. It keeps me busy and it's how this is what I love to do. But maybe I'm introverted. Maybe I don't want to go do those other things, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make me any indifferent or any different than anybody else. It's just what I love to do. So what it really comes down to is you really have to just understand what's really needed. But the most important thing is being in flow. The moment that you say, I can't, the moment that you say, this is easier, the moment you say, this is the way to go, it's all wrong in my mind. And the reason why it's all wrong is you're looking at it like it has to be done. You're looking at it like that's only I can do. I'm looking at it as that's who I'm going to be. I'm not going to be anybody anymore. And I made a decision in my life about 6 months ago, and I've been being coached by a very special person. And I've learned that if I just look at things, that it's already going to happen. I'm not limiting myself is number one. Number two is if I just stay in flow and don't force it, it comes to me. The moment that I force something, it no longer comes to me, and it's no longer natural. So what's going to happen in the universe and the way that I'm going to analyze things and the information I'm going to put in my head to decipher, organize, and push forward is actually going to become the outcome. Because to get the outcome, you have to understand how it's going to happen before it happens. And if I sit here and believe that it can't happen, or this is only going to happen, or it's hard, or it's that, I already believe that, and therefore it's never going to happen. So the moment that I sit here and I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do X. Okay, great. How does that look? What does it take? And how do I get that to flow to me?
Now, how about this? Would you say that sometimes you could be playing the wrong game? So for example, let's say you are the greatest manager who's ever existed. You're the greatest person who's ever worked at Applebee's. The most money that you'll ever work being at Applebee's, or let's say you own a Subway there's a lot of Subway franchises. But if you got to the very top of Applebee's, how much money would you make? I was a casino dealer. The director of table games at the Wynn makes about $500,000 a year. I make more than the director of table games. And that person had to work 30 years, get multiple degrees, work their way up the corporate ladder. I think that the best realtors in Las Vegas who work 5 times more than me probably makes, definitely less than me. There's probably maybe Czar, Jillian, and like 5 other realtors in all of Las Vegas who probably make more money than me.
And they work
realistically. Yeah. They are like super disciplined, working all day. I think that sometimes there's just a better game to be playing to where, if you take the top 1% realtor and how much money they make, compare them to the top 1% flipper. The top 1% flipper is making $8 million a year, $10 million a year. Yep. Top 1% realtor is probably making like $700,000 a year. Do you think that, do you ever analyze it of what game you're playing? Like you thought that contracting was a worse game than being the investor yourself and flipping houses. So that's the better game to go into.
So when you ask that question, it's like anything, right? I could have been a doctor.
Yeah.
And made X and helped people served and made $1 million a year or whatever. And, worked 80 hours a week and, invested and did X. I could be a developer that I could go raise money and I could have a fund and I could, be the next American Homes for Rent and I could be a billionaire. I could be a school teacher and go to school, whatever. So when you look at what game you're playing and what you're doing, I'm capable of way more than what I'm doing. I guarantee it. But I love what I do.
Yeah.
And it's what I know. I'm going to be 41 this year, and I'm loving my life. So if I'm loving my life, whether I'm at Applebee's, the casino, the realtor, or whatever, it's a game to me now. It's not a game of money anymore. It's a game of like, call Nick Marietta. When the phone rings, it's kind of one of those things like, yeah, I got it again. So I've done it for so long.
So you love the hustle. You love the opportunity.
I love the game. And the game that I love is when someone calls, I got the answer, and they're like, how did you just fucking get that? So I've done it so long and I put the time in. Is it worth me changing? Does it change? Do I need to die with $1 billion? Do I need to die with $1 million? Do I die with nothing? Do I need to change anything for my legacy? I'm happy. So if I'm happy and I'm in peace, the most important thing to me is living that way, not the money anymore. When I was younger, I focused on the money, and all I did was I ruined my life constantly working all these hours, and now I have all this experience, and it didn't get me anywhere other than you call Nick Marietta, Nick Marietta knows it, and he's got it, and he's known for that reputation, but I lost all that opportunity of my life exchanging it for all that time and something I'm never going to get back. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I can't get that back, I can't put a value on anybody's life. I can't put a value on anybody that's doing anything. I can't physically, mentally, emotionally judge them for it, because you know what the thing is we need a person for every single thing in this world, and everybody's going to do something different. So the most important thing that you need to look at as a person is, are you happy? Is it serving you at the time? And are you content with it? Not the money and everything else. I used to be completely money driven. I'm flow driven now. Is it flowing to me? Is my religion? Is my health? Is my family? Am I serving at the greatest extent that I can? That's really where you're going to get past just being the number one realtor. That's where you're going to get past being the number one flipper. That's where you're going to get past everything. And that's something that I finally feel like I felt, experienced, and can tell people that I never realized in my life, is because I was mentored on it. I went through that and I experienced it. But until you can experience something, you don't know that.
What was the moment that got you that point of thinking?
The moment that got me that point of thinking is when I got in the accident in 2021, a head-on collision. And I couldn't take care of myself. When I just went through my surgery and I can't wipe my own ass, I'm in a diaper, and you can't move. 3 weeks ago, I couldn't get out of bed because of my back. And, you know, you're sitting there, you're in bed naked, right? And there's 5 firefighters coming, got to get you out, dope you up because you can't move. And you're sitting there naked and you got to sit there like this, and you have to humble yourself and nobody knows what's going on. And, you know, more importantly is getting close to God in my spirit, in my life, is I wasn't serving. I was passing time, and I wasn't solving other people's problems. And when I needed to have my problem solved, there was nobody there to solve it. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, this is not okay. You need to change. And that's what the world needs. And if you can change other people. You need to change your focus. And I felt an energy and I felt a spirit between God and between just my entire life. Like right now, look at the goosebumps. I tell everybody when this happens, the universe comes your way and it flows your way. Look at that. See? Straight up. And when you get to that point in your life and you understand it, the money leaves, the fame leaves, everything you accomplish leaves. I don't want anybody to know me for anything. I don't want to be the big brand I used to be. I don't want to be all this stuff. I don't want to be the billionaire. I'm going to be. For the fact that if I focus my energy, my time, my answers on greatness and serving people and helping them and giving them everything that I've learned in life and trying to explain to them that it's not all about the fame. It's not all about being number one. It's not all about that. It's all about dropping knowledge and helping them. My life has changed and I'm propelling 100x as fast as possible, like something I've never seen.
So what I'm hearing is your focus was the money and growing it and being the best. And it sounds like your focus went to the process of it. So rather than the goal being a billionaire, it's the process of everything it takes as a human to be the billionaire. Like you're having fun.
Actually, it's not even the process. And that wasn't my goal. My goal was to leave a legacy and try to leave wealth for my family and try to help people.
I heard you that on the Steve Trang podcast. Yeah.
And that wasn't working and it doesn't work. My focus is not even the process. My focus is on everything that I do is helping somebody next to me, whether I get paid for it or not. Today I'm on this podcast. I'm leaving all my life experiences. I'm leaving any nugget that I can for free. I'm leaving anything that I can with people of something that I experienced that they may not have experienced so that they can use that and then help the next person, because the world needs to be a better place. So many people are out for themselves. It's all about the money. It's all about the fame. It's all about all the shit, right? But nobody just wants to serve. And I'll tell you what, if you just start serving people, It's unbelievable what'll come your way. And you don't have to do it through money. You don't have to do it through fame. You have to do anything. And I've been through some of the hardest things in the last 2 years of my life. 3 years ago, I got divorced. I got in a car accident. I just went through the surgery. I lost $15 million in real estate. It's not, everybody goes, oh, you humbled up. Oh, it's all these things. And oh, no, let me tell you something. What I did is I realized that you come into the world with nothing and you leave with nothing. You need to leave with one thing. You need to leave at a better place. And you constantly need to be training and helping people instead of always trying to be on the take. You need to be giving. And it's the old saying with the universe is if you give it more than you think you'll receive more. And it's the truth. And the problem is people just don't understand that. It's not the process. It's not the money. It's not the fame. It's not a life-changing experience. It's like this. If I'm here today, I don't get paid to be here. This could be for fame. This could be for views. This could be for money. This could be for many different things. And the most important thing to me here is trying to help you. If you're trying to build a brand, you can leverage what I've done for 20 years and all my followers and all my things, and you can ask me questions. If your audience is looking for the experience or a guy that can change their life, that's the whole reason why we sit here. We don't get paid to do this. This leads into deals. This leads into follows. This leads into bigger businesses. I'm not getting paid. You're not getting paid. I'm serving you and the others. But I want to leave nothing but the truth and the value of the mistakes and the time that I've done so that the people watching can get value of that and don't do that. But so many people don't want to be vulnerable, and so many people just don't want to be honest, and they want to do something that's going to get them ahead. I'm not getting ahead in this by any financial means. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is this thing's going to blow up because of what I'm leaving, and it's going to help more people, and then it's going to come right back to me. So by leaving all that information and not leveraging myself, which I have a lot of leverage with my social brand and my luxury brand and everything I've done in my career, I'm not trying to leverage it at all. I'm being vulnerable and telling you all the problems in life that I've had, all the things not to do based on my experiences to help them. And that's what people need.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, hey, there's so much more I want to ask. There's so much more I want to get to. But we kind of discussed a little bit beforehand how we'd probably chop this up into a few things.
Yeah, we're going to chop this up to many. This has been a good one.
Yes. So I'm excited to have you back. I want to talk to you about owning multiple planes, about your huge social media, and then your other businesses. But, man, this has been mind-blowing.
Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. You bet.